3 murders, 3 different crime scenes, and one terrifying detail connected them all. The killer had once lived inside every victim's home. In 1980s, the city of Khamis Mushait in Saudi Arabia was known for its quiet villages, simple people, and peaceful nights. Nobody imagined that hidden among them was a man who would eventually become one of the most feared serial killers ever talked about in the region. A Sudanese shepherd named Jah Allah Al-Bashir. To most people he looked harmless, quiet, respectful, hardworking, the kind of a man families trusted enough to hand over their homes, their money, even their lives. But behind that calm face was something darker. A man obsessed with control, greed, and blood. And according to rumors that spread across Saudi Arabia at this time, a man protected by black magic itself. Jah Allah illegally entered Saudi Arabia in 1985 through the sea near Jizan province. Like many illegal workers back then, he moved from village to village searching for any job that could keep him alive. Eventually, he arrived in Khamis Mushait. That's where everything began. He found work with an elderly woman who owned a large sheep business. At first, his role was simple: feed the animals, clean the farm, and help with the livestock trading. But Jah Allah was smart, very smart. Within months he had gained the old woman's complete trust. He learned everything about her business, her routines, where she kept her money, and even how much she received from social support payments. He became almost like family. The woman's son trusted him, ate with him, spoke with him openly. But while they saw a loyal worker, Jah Allah was secretly studying them like prey. Every time the old woman left the house, he searched through the rooms looking for hidden cash and jewelry. He secretly copied the house keys and memorized every movement inside the home. And after nearly a year of planning, he made his move. One day, he told the family he had to return to Sudan because of urgent family problems. The family felt sorry for him. They paid him generously, wished him well, and said goodbye. But Jah Allah never left Saudi Arabia. Instead, he disappeared into nearby villages for 2 months, waiting for the perfect opportunity to return. Then one night, he came back carrying an axe. He entered the house silently using the copied keys and walked directly towards the room where the old woman kept her money and gold. Everything was going perfectly until she woke up. The elderly woman heard movement inside the house and slowly walked towards the room. The moment she turned on the light, she saw him standing there, stealing everything. For a second, they stared into each other's eyes. Then Jah Allah panicked. Without hesitation, he swung the axe directly into her head. She did instantly. He stole all the money and jewelry he could carry, escaped into the darkness, and later fled Saudi Arabia completely by sea back to Sudan. The case shocked the city. Police found no signs of forced entry, no fingerprints, no suspects. And because Jah Allah had supposedly returned to Sudan months earlier, nobody seriously suspected him. The murder case was eventually filed against an unknown killer, but the nightmare was only beginning. For 12 years, Jah Allah lived comfortably in Sudan using the money he stole from the murdered woman. According to later reports, during this time he became deeply involved with black magic practitioners. People later claimed he carried a magical talisman buried beneath his skin, something believed to protect him from capture. Whether it was real magic or pure superstitions, nobody knows. But one thing was certain: for 12 years he vanished without a trace, until the money ran out. In 1997, Jah Allah illegally returned to Saudi Arabia once again. And unbelievably, he returned to Khamis Mushait, almost as if he believed he was untouchable. At first, he worked for another woman involved in sheep trading. But unlike his first victim, the woman was cautious. Her grandson was a wealthy businessman with powerful connections, and Jah Allah realized very quickly that this family would not be easy to manipulate. So he left. Soon afterward, he found work with another family living in a nearby village: father, mother, teenage son, and 3 daughters. At first everything seemed normal, but arguments slowly began between Jah Allah and the father over livestock care and work responsibilities. Tension grew until finally the father exploded and fired him. Humiliated and furious, Jah Allah walked away carrying his belongings and his axe. But revenge had already taken over his mind. Later that night, he returned to the family's home and knocked on the door. The father opened it. Moments later, Jah Allah poured the axe into his skull. The man collapsed instantly. Hearing the screams, the mother rushed outside only to receive the same horrifying fate. Inside the house, the children froze in terror. The 16-year-old son desperately hid his sister across the home, one inside a room, another in the yard, and one even inside a traditional oven to protect her. Then he slowly approached the front door and saw his parents lying dead in pools of blood. By the time neighbors and the police arrived, Jah Allah disappeared once again. No witnesses, no clear evidence, just blood, silence, and fear. But what nobody knew was that the killer wasn't finished yet. After escaping the murdered family's home, Jah Allah returned to the elderly woman he had worked for earlier. The cautious grandmother was the wealthy grandson. For 2 days, he secretly watched the house, waiting for the perfect moment. Then shortly after sunset, he entered carrying the same axe. This time he showed no hesitation at all. He murdered the old woman, stole her valuables, and vanished into the night for the third time. At that point, panic exploded across Khamis Mushait. Newspaper began calling him the butcher of Khamis Mushait. Rumors spread everywhere. People locked themselves inside their home before sunset. Entire villages lived in fear that the killer could appear at any moment. Some believed he was possessed. Others believed he used black magic to disappear. Police launched one of the biggest manhunts the region had ever seen. Roads were monitored, villages searched, and professional trackers followed his footprint across the desert. But somehow, the tracks would suddenly vanish, as if the earth itself had swallowed him whole. Then finally, after weeks of fear, a strange report reached authorities. A man living near a cemetery in Ahad Rafida was behaving suspiciously. Locals claimed he practiced the black magic for people, and more importantly, he looked exactly like the wanted killer. Police immediately surrounded the cemetery and arrested the mysterious man. It was Jah Allah Al-Bashir. At first he remained calm during interrogation, but then something bizarre happened. Every time officer tried writing down the confession, the pen slipped from his hand more than 5 times. Some investigators became convinced the killer was truly involved in black magic. During a body search, Jah Allah suddenly attempted suicide, trying to stab himself before officers restrained him. That's when investigators discovered something hidden beneath his skin, a strange object buried inside his body. Specialists later removed what was described as a magical talisman, covered in mysterious symbols and writings. And after it was removed, Jah Allah completely broke down. Crying uncontrollably, he confessed to everything. Not just the recent murders, but also the original killing from 12 years earlier. And according to some reports, investigators believed his total number of victims may have been far higher. In 1997, the Saudi court sentenced Jah Allah to public execution. The sentence was carried out in Khamis Mushait, bringing an end of one of the most horrifying serial killers cases ever associated with this region. But even today, the legend of Butcher of Khamis Mushait still survives, because for many people the most terrifying part of the story was never the murders itself. It was the fact that the monster looked completely normal, a shepherd, a worker, a trusted friend, a man welcomed into people's home right before he turned them into a crime scenes. See you in the next case. This is Crimson Sands. Bye.